I'm going to be using the Jewel Loom Bead Loom with a variety of beads and a vintage glass button to show you how to make a beautiful beaded bracelet with a buttonhole. So let's get our weave on. Now there are two videos that I created prior to this one. I'll make sure that the links are in the description. Obviously, you will want to know how to warp your loom and how I got started and added and sewed in the button up here at the top. Now I've already started to build my base with 8/0 seed beads, and you can see over here that I have a palette of beads to the right hand side of my loom. I have size 8/0s, I have size 11/0s, and I have two different types of Czech glass beads. I often will refer to these types of beads as my decorative beads. So they're my fancy beads that are bigger, they have shapes, etc. Now, because I am using the decorative beads, I like to have the 11/0s on hand in case I need to fill up some of the space in the warps. And I'll show you that. We'll get to that. So I'm already have my needle and thread attached to the warp threads because, as I mentioned, this is, I guess you could say, like part 3 to the technique. And what I'm going to do is my needle and thread are in my left hand. So this is my left hand. The Jewel Loom is in front of me, and this is my right hand. I'm going to take the needle and thread, and I am going to come under the warps. Again, these are your warp threads. So I'm coming under the warps. And for this row, I'm going to grab some of these beads. Whoops. Little dancers. Okay, these are 6mm rounds. They are absolutely gorgeous. And I just picked up 3 of them. I'm going to help guide them down the Wildfire thread that I am working with. And then let's do that again. So they're at the end of the thread, and then I'm using my left hand and my fingers to just help prop them up and in between each warp. Then I'm going to take the needle, and it's going back through the hole, and perhaps you could see, let me see if I could bring that up a little bit. You could see the shiny part of the needle, the silver part. The needle has to be on top of the warps. If it is not, and you pull your thread all the way through, the beads will drop, and that's a little more fun than you want to have. Okay, so there's one row. Again, I'm going to repeat left hand, needles coming under all the warps. And this time I'm going to pick up a variety of these little tags. And when you're mixing it up, and by mixing it up, I mean when you are using different sized shape types of beads in your warp threads, you need to make sure that they will all fit in this little area. Sometimes it just might be that you need a tiny little space to fill in, and that's where your 11/0s come in. So I'm going to pick up a little tag, then I'm going to pick up an 11/0 seed bead, and I'm going to pick up another tag, and then if I just bring it over here, you can see that that will fit into the warps. So I love using different types of beads and different sizes. It just gives a totally unique look to your finished jewelry piece. So we're not done because we have to pick up some more. So let's go and pick up another tag, another seed bead, and another little tag. And and then I want to do a tag and a seed and a tag. And then we're just going to let all of that fall down. Okay, and then I'm just going to make sure that each little section is in its little warped areas, and you can see, let me just bring that up to the camera. So then what I'm going to do is take the needle, and I want to make sure that I'm going back through that hole. I've got to go back through the tag, through the tag, through the tag, through. Oh, I can't see that little seed bead. We want to make sure. Where did you go, buddy? I got to make sure that I think I got it. Okay. And because once again, if I don't get through that hole and I go all the way out like I'm about to, then that bead will drop. So let's see if the bead, yay. Okay, awesome. Right on. So with this particular project and this particular bead, let me bring this in so I can show you. Look how cool it looks. Like they're all faced up. So you have like this dimension to your bracelet. Isn't that cool? And so what I did, you know, was I propped them up so that they would all stay nestled in that position. So we're going to come back and we're going to do the same thing again. So it was tag 11-0, tag again. So I'm doing like these little sandwiches, and 11-0. And then I'm just going to make sure that it's going over the eye of the needle. Every once in a while, you'll get a size 11-0 seed bead where the hole is just not exactly big enough to go over the eye of the needle. And then that's not a lot of fun because you have to unstring everything, but we're good. Okay, so once again, so as I'm doing this, if you could see my pointer finger, like I've already started to guide that first row and prop up all those little tags so that I can do the same thing here. Now, if I'm in this interesting situation, right, where I feel like I just want to go ahead and start getting the needle through because I can see everything. You don't necessarily have to be straight across because we can get everybody aligned. Hopefully this will make a little more sense. So I'm going through the beads because I can see everything pretty clearly. I'm going through the seed bead, I'm going through the tag, and then I've got, and here's a perfect example again. So it's really getting tight up in here. It's really getting kind of bunchy, and I don't want to force my needle to go straight. So I'm going to just work with the beads. I'm going to be like, okay, you want me to come in at an angle? I get you. I get you. Let me back it up and let me just, yeah. Okay. So I got it through. And then as I pull, I'm just going to like really support these beads. And let me just give you a little sneak peek there. I'm going to go slow. And then what's going to happen is I'm just going to put everybody back where they need to be. Okay. So it's just, yeah, when you're doing something like this, you just got to be patient. You got to let the needle glide through because look, oh my heck. All right. See how they're all standing up? So just take your time with this particular technique. Again, just want to make sure that all those little tags are standing at attention. And we'll just give it a nice little tug right there. And now I'm going to sandwich that in with another row of these beautiful 6mm round beads. And whoops. And these take up all the space in the warps, and so I don't really have to worry about using any seed beads. So again, you could just see they kind of want to go at an angle, so I'm just going to let them be free, and then I'm going to pull and just give it a little tug there. Again, I want to make sure that for my design, all of the tags are standing at attention, and that looks really, really super great. Okay, let me bring that up to the camera. Let's see what we got going on here. Okay, and so then I want to go into a couple of rows of 8/0s, and I like doing this just to like lock the rows in, and by that what I mean is like you know, like I'm just kind of, I'm using this like a, what would you say? Like a block, like a, I don't know, just a tighter, a smaller bead that's kind of like locking it all in. 8, 9, I'll get a better term. But I think you'll get what I'm saying. So 3 8/0s in each little alleyway. So we're going to go back through. Again, I want to make sure I am on top of the warps. Okay. And then we're going to pull through. And so, yeah, see how that just kind of helps to secure that area into this one lumped section. So I like doing that. And I'm going to do a few rows like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And, you know, really whatever combination you come up with for the width of each of the warped threads, you know, it's fun to just play around with beads and kind of be like, oh, well, will that work? And if so, how many? And, you know, do I need little 11/0s to take up some space? It's the mixed bracelets are like one of my most favorite to create. So what do we got? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so we'll put that up there. And now if you're going to make a bracelet like I did with this particular piece, let's just talk about that because we probably would want to know like the length, right? So I have a 6-inch wrist, and basically what I did was, and let's bring in the tape measure really quick here. So this particular piece, and I love, love, love a sewing tape measure. I love the flexibility of it. I've got like a lot of them in the studio. So I'm just going to see, what did this one end up being? This one ended up being just shy of 7 inches. And I will tell you that if I were to make this one again, I would almost be tempted to go to 7 1/4. The reason why is that it fits on a good day when I'm not retaining water or it's not humid outside. And I found that one time it fit perfectly. And well, today's another good example where for whatever reason, I'm a little puffy. And so if you tend to get the puffs, then I would say add another 1/4 inch. So 6-inch wrist, and I made a 1 1/4, or I would have made a 1 1/4 inch long area for my button. So sometimes you just have to play around and figure it out, you know, and that's okay because then you have gifts. Okay, so let's do another section of rounds. This blue bead's killing me. It's so pretty. So we'll put another one of these in. And so, yeah, so I think what I'll do just based on time is that, you know, and we have a lot of time, but you've seen the sections, how they're made, and I really want to get to the buttonhole because I just think that that's like a super cool way to finish your bracelet. So we're going to get, we'll do another section here. And the fun thing, whoops, that's not the process. Let's see. Well, I better focus. Hold that thought for me. And where did we go? Okay, so we got 1. Oh. Okay, and then we got 2, and then we need 1 more. Okay. Okay. Beading and talking. All right, so we're going to put those up, and it's always good to see things twice. All right, and so this is the process where we're going back through all those holes, going back through that 11/0. Ouch. And we're going to go all the way out. And that was a hello, are you awake? And then we're going to come back under. This is so cool. Isn't it a neat pattern? I like that a lot. And we're going to do a tag and a seed bead and a tag and a tag and a seed bead. And then I just want to make sure, yep, we're getting over the holes, and a tag and a tag and wait, where are we at? Did I miss a seed bead? We've got 1, 2, and I got a, let's see, I think I missed a seed bead, didn't I? Oh, sugar. Okay, so no, 1, 2, okay, I did it right. I did it right, girl. Okay, let's get back into this. And we're just going to prop them up into their little warp areas there and going back through all the beads. And again, if my needle just is more comfortable like going in at an angle, don't fight it. You'll just make it straight when, you know, once it all comes through here. And then we just want to make sure that they're all, uh-oh, get in there, buddy. There we go. Okay, so we just want to make sure they're all, I love this look, it's so rad. Okay, let's get some more rounds. So, ooh, this teal is beautiful. And I don't know if I've used the purple. And then, what is this? That's pretty. And then we will plop these up in there. Again, they kind of want to go at an angle. So I will let that happen, and then I'll just make sure everything is nice and scooched tight. And then again, we want to get into our 8/0s. So I'm going to scoot over all of the decorative beads because we're done with those. So let's just get our scooper. Okay. And we're actually done with these guys too. So I'm just going to scooch these over. And we want to go into picking up 9 8/0s. So what do we got? We got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So when you're building your bracelets, you know, I always try to think about, well, what's really going to be seen? With this particular pattern, I love the fact that the button can be my front, or all this decorative can be my front, or I can kind of wear it at an angle. So it's got a lot of versatility in what is really the focal point. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. So this might end up being a little short, but like I said, I want to get in, and actually I'm going to tell you a little secret of what's on my mind. I kind of was thinking, would it be cool to make it a little shorter and then loop it back, right? And so instead of a bracelet, it's like this super cool pendant. So since it's really just a matter of length, and I've shown you how to do these cool things, I hope it's okay with you if I kind of go into that idea. So is it a 2-for-1 video? All right, now I've got 2 solid rows of the 8/0s, and now I need to start building this section, right? So I have to get narrow, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the loom. Oops, I want to come back under here, and I want to pick up 3. So I'm going to pick up 3, and wait a minute, did I do that right? Am I in the right position? No, I need to stay where I was. Okay. So I turned it back. It's when I get excited. I get excited. Okay, so there's the 3, and I'm just popping them up into that 1 warp area. Now the needle's got to come under those first 2 warps and then back through the seed beads. Okay, so there's our first one, and then again we're going to come under the warps. I'm going to pick up 3, 1, 2, 3, gonna plop those guys back up in there, come under 2 warps through the seed beads. So pretty easy, huh? And then under, and these little buttonholes that kind of turn into windows, right? Like you could actually do this randomly in a bracelet design, whether you were going to use, whether you were going to do the button technique or not. I love it. I love the little windows. It's really a cool thing. So 1, 2, 3. Now, you know, how many rows of 3? Well, we have to kind of do a little guesswork at first, because it all depends on the size of our button. And so obviously that's not going to fit our button. I know that I have to keep going. And for this big blue gorgeous button here on this piece, I actually, what did I do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows of 3. So we're just going to get those. You just want to make sure you're under those first 2 warps. It looks like I have 5. I think it'd be so cool, like you could do a variety of leftover seed beads, you know, like all your soup beads, as we call them, right? Bead soup. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And just how, like, what a great way to use all of those leftovers to just make like this little window blocked bracelet. There's just so many opportunities. Oops. So when that happens, it's okay. Just slow down. And then you're just going to guide them back in there. Okay? Just real slow. Get everybody back in there. Come on, buddy. There we go. All right. So was that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So we got 1, 2, 3. And we're going to plop those under. Okay. And what did I say? Did I say 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Cool. So now I'm going to do a full row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're going to pop these. Oh, but I need 9. Come on, girl. Okay. So we got 1 row. Oopsie. Okay. And we're going to come under again. I don't want to lose my tail there. So we need another row. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And again, these are the TOHO rounds, and they are a size 8/0. Now, what I want to do with the ending here is I'm going to go sideways, and this time, just to give it a little extra anchoring, I'm going to go under the warps and back through the beads. And so it's like it's locking it in. Okay. And then I'm going to come through, and I think I should be able to do this. Let's see. We're going to come out on the 3rd there, and we'll dip down, and let's pick up 1, 2, 3. And we're going to pop them into Boy, I'm playing it really close on my thread, aren't I? And then down through the middle, out to the right. And we'll pick up 3 more. 1, 2, 3. So, 1. Just want to make sure. Okay, and then down. And 1, 2, 3. Okay. And down the middle. So what do we got? We got 1, 2, 3. We got 3 rows. We need 5 more. So 1, 2, 3. And we're going to go back through. Pretty fast process. You know, once you get your rhythm down, you should be, gosh, you could do like a really cool seed bead bracelet with these windows. But the finishing with a button technique is just so gorgeous. Especially like if you have buttons, family heirloom buttons, you know, or maybe you're one of those collectors where you go to the second time around shops or antique shops and you've got that jar full of buttons. What a great way to use those, right? So 1, 2, 3. And as mentioned, there is a video that I'll link to showing you how I got started, which shows you how to sew that button in. It's basically just what I did, but obviously this area was smaller. So pretty simple. And 1, 2, 3. So what did we got? We got 1 more row. Look at there. Okay, so going through and then going back down, and we'll get that second row in there, or that 8th row. Sorry, 1, 2, 3. Make sure that we're definitely got some. Yep. Come over here. Okay, cool. And oh, gotta pop them in there. Okay, and then okay, all right, buddy. Okay, and then I'm gonna go down. And what I'd like to do, I'm gonna weave back up, or back towards my body, so that from your angle it probably looks like I'm going down. So I'm just securing this into the rows. And by the way, like, you could totally rethread some Wildfire, and if you felt like you wanted to go back through this a couple of times, like I would say go for it. Like, I don't think that you could make this area you know, oh gosh, what would the word be? Like, I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea to weave back through. We don't always do that with all of our bracelets, but when you have like this kind of vulnerable area right here where, you know, you've got this opening and everything, I just kind of feel like it would be okay to do that. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this around, and then what we can do is, whoopsie, I'm going to go through there, and actually I'm going to just make a tiny little knot on this warp. I just want to make sure. So I'm going to come up and in between there's 6 beads here and 3 there, and then very carefully, because I don't have like a lot of thread, I'm just grabbed that warp and ever so carefully. Yep. Okay, so yeah, I'm just tied a little knot onto the warp. Yeah, and whoops, I didn't want to do that. Hold on. I just want it to be in the back. So, and then I'll tug that back there. So, yeah, I mean, this is going to be for a really small wrist. Or, like I said, asking permission, of course, and hopefully you are cool with it. You've seen and we've talked about like how much more you would have to do for a bracelet with a 6-inch wrist. But I was kind of like, well, what if we do something cool and it's a hair shorter and then it becomes this really cool like pendant? So I always love giving options, and I feel like, you know, the techniques were shared. So I feel good about that. Now, what I'm going to do, let me get my needle out of the way. What I'm going to do next is when I take my pieces off of the loom, and especially with all this glass, I like to bring my hand under the project and I'm holding it. So you see how I'm like cupping it right into my hand. And the reason being is that my first cut, when I cut this off of the loom is going to expand. And so I don't want the beads bouncing off of the table and then, you know, gosh forbid that, you know, something cracked. So I've got it in my hand, secured. And then I'm going to bring my scissors in. Whoa, see what I'm talking about? Wake up. All right, so now this end down here, and you know what, let's just very carefully, I'm going to bring in my Wildfire burner, and I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that really quick. Now, I was able on my first project over here, I was able to pull these down ever so carefully. Let me see for giggles where we're at today. So we're going to bring this back up. These are the one, and I'm going to bring in a pair of flat nose pliers. Are we in the camera? Let's just make sure. So, okay, when you're going to do this technique that I'm going to show you, it may or may not work, but we're going to try. Holding it in place so that it doesn't get distorted, like really putting your hand down. And okay, okay, how are we going to do this? Because let's see if I can get this into the camera. So do you see the warps in here? I'm going to like twirl them around. So you're going to start to see them move. My hand is putting pressure on the piece because I don't want it to get all crooked. So I've got my plier, my flat nose, and I'm pulling ever so carefully on the warp. The cool thing about this is that it eliminates the stress of, well, how do I end? So I'm just really carefully, look, I hope you can see that. And then I'm going to come over here and we'll grab this one. And I'm just pulling. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. I could feel it like in my hand. Awesome sauce. Okay, so that worked out really nice. So I'm just going to show you. So here's my thought. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. You guys, look how cute. Oh my God. Okay, now are you getting it? Like, would that be a really cool pendant? So now I could put like some like silver silk chain through here. I could do some sori ribbon if I have a beautiful, you know, any type of chain. Okay, now I just saw something here though. See, you got to be careful. You got to keep all those together. Now, let me tell you what I did on the warps that are all over here. And first, I just want to check this bottom. And I do want to say that if, like, I'm going to rethread my needle and I'm going to go back through again. I feel like I want this to be more firm. And so I can do that. Even when it's off of the loom, I can go back and hand sew, and I can just weave through again. And what I want to say about these ends is that what I did, okay, what I did, and I'm even going to go as far as saying that, and I have thought about this. I have thought about what if I got some really cool material, like from, I don't know, you may not know, but I went to Singapore a couple years back and I bought material because, well, why not? And so I was thinking, well, what if you did like a little lining around this area? Like that would be super cool, right? So you could just use some really pretty fabric. But what I literally did, you're not going to believe this. I sewed all the warp threads back in, which again, I don't think it's a deal breaker because we can use that extra firmness in the project. So that's how I finished that. Oh my gosh, are they lined up? Let me look in the camera. So cool. Let's pull this one. So again, my thought was, look how cute that would be if we did the same technique, but we made it shorter, right? So that's super cool. And if you're like, well, Jules, I kind of would like a story, you know, some beads to be in this area, you could hand sew them back in. But look how cool that is. I don't know. I'm just digging this whole button idea. I'm loving it for so many reasons. And I hope that this helped you to see that adding a button and a buttonhole is actually kind of easy peasy, right? It's not too bad. I was a little intimidated, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh, I don't know about this, but it worked out and it inspired me. So I hope it inspired you. Again, I'm gonna have links for the warping of the loom and for the first part here where I sewed the button on. And yeah, if you're like, well, Jules, what do you mean by sewing all of this back in? Let me know. I've got no problem doing a little video to show you how to do that too. Basically just to walk it through. I literally put my needle on every single one of these strings and I wove it all back through. And because we're talking about it being a little bit more firm, I think it's a good decision. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm always excited to hear from you. And if you want to see something or you have, you know, the need for a technique or anything like that, just please let me know. And please like and share and subscribe and give all of the Jewel Loom love that you can. And have a beautifully blessed day. Thank you.